Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of Reddit Reads. This is episode 5, which is about ancient knowledge and life hacks. These topics and stories are basically focused on knowledge and spiritual understandings that ancient civilizations had that can still be relevant to our lives today. This topic fascinates me in how we can combine our personal stories, inner soul cravings, and prior human discovery to heal and create our dream life. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side.
In 1983, a U.S. Army officer wrote a classified report on audio tapes that alter consciousness. The technology he was evaluating had already been cut from stone 6,000 years earlier. Consciousness. In 1983, Lieutenant Colonel Wayne McDonnell wrote a 29-page classified report for the CIA evaluating the Monroe Institute's Gateway Experience, an audio program using binaural beats to alter consciousness. He concluded it was plausible and warranted further investigation. The report was declassified in 2003 and went viral on Reddit in 2021. Binaural beats are an auditory illusion. Play 400 Hz in one ear and 410 Hz in the other, and the brain perceives a phantom 10 AG pulse. Remove the headphones and it vanishes. A 2023 systematic review of 14 studies found the evidence for brainwave entrainment inconsistent. 5 studies supported it. 8 contradicted it. Meanwhile, independent acoustic surveys of Neolithic chambers, Newgrange, the Hal Saflieni Hypogeum in Malta, Wayland Smithy, Karen L. at Loughborough, have found dominant resonant frequencies clustering between 95 and 120 Hz, peaking around 110 Hz. These are not auditory illusions. They are physical properties of stone enclosures, measurable with microphones and spectrum analyzers. You feel them in your chest. In 2008, a UCLA team found that 110 Ag produces a specific EEG shift. Left temporal activity decreases. Prefrontal asymmetry shifts to the right hemisphere. The language side goes quieter. The spatial and emotional side becomes more active. Same direction as psilocybin. Pilot study, 30 subjects, not yet replicated at scale. Monroe spent decades trying to build with transistors and magnetic tape what the Neolithic builders had already cut from living rock. He got one layer working. They had all of them running at once. Acoustic resonance, total darkness, confinement, fasting, ritual preparation, and possibly a chemical sacrament. He called his program the Gateway. They just call it the Temple.
Ever done it yourself? It made me conscious during sleep. I was lying there, listening to the binaural beats when suddenly I hear snoring. I realize it's me snoring, but I'm awake. It was truly bizarre to experience physical sleep while conscious.
Mind awake, body asleep, for what it's worth. There's a yoga technique called Yoga Nidra, and it agrees so well with Monroe's methods down to the energy circulation pathways that he either learned Yoga Nidra or independently rediscovered the same ideas. Probably the latter.
The source of the 1983 CIA report wasn't Robert Monroe. It was Bentov. The CIA used Itzhak Bentov's research on the vibratory holographic nature of our reality to better understand Robert Monroe's gateway process. Bentov and Monroe are my intellectual heroes. This is the greatest interview I have ever seen. The CIA's investigation into the gateway process, documented in the Declassified Report Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Process, 1983, involved exploring methods for expanding human consciousness to enhance perception, intelligence, and remote viewing capabilities. In this process, Bentov's work significantly influenced their understanding. Bentov's research, particularly his model of the human body as a resonant system that vibrates and interacts with universal energy fields, provided a theoretical framework for how the gateway process might work. His ideas about the brain functioning as a hologram to interpret vibrational data aligned with the gateway process's goals of transcending physical reality and accessing higher states of consciousness. Wayne M. McDonnell, the author of the CIA report, referenced Bentov's theories to explain the physiological and metaphysical mechanisms underlying the gateway techniques, such as binaural beats and their impact on brain synchronization. Bentov's concepts helped the CIA contextualize the gateway process scientifically, bridging metaphysics and measurable phenomena. His work gave credence to the idea that consciousness could transcend time and space, a critical component of the CIA's interest in applications like remote viewing.
I do this daily, try it out, and find out what humans are truly capable of. All of us. Even you.
Wonderful post OP. I've posted about this before, but I'm glad to see others discover it themselves. Gateway and energy resonators. The hypodium was a sonic tempo, like most others resonate at 111 Hz, which creates hemisync. The gateway is opened through Kundalini, the twin serpent/pine cone, pineal. McMonigal, who avid Mars, describes his process as laying in a black cube on a bed of salts, which is the very same as was used in the king's chamber and the energy conversion boxes of the Serapeum. Tigid priests whose heads were found are wearing large psychoacoustic helmets that act as resonant amplifiers. Like ancient Tibetan metal singing bowls, these helmets were produced from dozens of different metals for inducing hemispheric synchronization in the brain and a unified biorhythmic pulsation of the heart with the hypothalamus, pituitary, and pineal glands. Other chambers I built and left vacant to all seeming, yet hidden within them are the keys to Amenti. He who in courage would dare the dark realms, let him be purified first by long fasting, lie in the sarcophagus of stone in my chamber. Then reveal I to him the great mysteries. Built I the great pyramid, patterned after the pyramid of earth force, burning eternally so that it, too, might remain through the ages. In it, I builded my knowledge of a magic science taught, great wise.
The gateway tapes are absolutely doing something to the brain. I tested it, and after just the first tape, I had very strong whole-body vibrations when trying to sleep that evening. The closest thing to it are cold shivers, but it was not the same thing. The next morning, I had an hypnopompic hallucination. I was dreaming that a puma is jumping at me. Exactly in that moment, I was waking up. I was laying on my side, with my head to the inside of the bed. The puma landed behind me on the bed near my feet, and I could feel the indentations it made on the mattress as it was walking to my head. My eyes were open. It felt 100% real. Now, the real, scary thing. In the next 2 weeks, I had exploding head syndrome. I very often doze off on the couch. After 1 hour or so, I wake up and go to bed. Now, nearly every time I was waking up to a sound. It was a bang, or a word. The spoken words were mostly unintelligible. Sometimes it was my name, random word, and once it was an unintelligible sentence. This happened nearly every day for roughly 2 weeks. The loudness of the words was exactly as if someone is standing next to you. Very scary. And I was fearful about losing my mind. I did know about the body vibrations from meditation, never happened to me, but exploding head syndrome and hypnopompic hallucination was new to me. I learned about these things when I Googled what was happening to me. This scared me so much that I stopped the tapes after the first one. These things never happened to me before or after again. I have to say that I am very trained in hypnosis and use it since many years for relaxation. I believe that makes me very receptive. While listening to the file, nothing happened. But many people report contact with entities in the later files. Everyone can try the files. Gateway tapes.
I was in the GATE program starting in 5th grade. They used the Gateway tapes as part of the advanced curriculum. I only found out last year that I was used in a CIA experiment to train children for remote viewing, astral projection, and other psychic phenomena. I'm 55. I hadn't remembered those tapes, the cards, etc., until I saw the videos about the program I was told was for the very smartest kids, being a CIA app. A friend had suggested binaural beats to help me with sleep issues and anxiety. This was years ago. They didn't work, and I remember feeling strange while listening to them, but couldn't quite articulate why. I'm also unable to be hypnotized. I wake up when I should be anesthetized, and other odd things. I honestly believe it's due, in part, to the experimentation I was put through as a kid.
Hey guys, I want to also add my own story to this topic as well. I was also in the GATE program throughout elementary and middle school. I had a bit of a rough upbringing, being around a lot of drug use and enduring plenty of emotional and physical abuse as a child. So my childhood already is a bit hard for me to remember. I had always previously attributed it to trauma blocking, but the gateway tapes are something I do remember taking part in elementary school. For me, I remember being told by the staff I was taking a hearing test and being brought into a trailer with covered up windows into a little booth. The booth only had a set of headphones, no buttons or anything except a place to sit. I remember the first few seconds where the audio is tested, then my next memory after that is being picked up by my mom and going home. I remember the tests would last all day and the day would be over when the test was over. But I don't remember anything that happened during those tests, other than the fact that they were kind of fun. Recently, I went ahead and tried listening to a few of the tapes after hearing about them again. It did help me clear my head like the 110 hertz and other meditation strategies do. But what was strange for me is that as I listened, a few core childhood memories started coming back. Also, I have personal journals with prayers and mantras I have written over the past few years to keep me motivated and focused. When I put them together, I did not reference anything. I just did a lot of reading and tried to dig deep within myself to kind of just articulate my goals on how I want to view myself on paper. So it was super spooky for me when I was listening back to these tapes, and some of the wording in it sounds exactly like my own personal mantras that I thought I discovered like soulfully. The earlier Redditor mentioned some personal patterns they have that might be related to effects from the tapes. So I'll end this topic with my own little quirks as well. Since I can remember back to grade school, I can also hear voices tune in and out, sort of the way it sounds when a radio is scanning for stations. This usually happens when I'm super sleep deprived. When I was 22, I did mushrooms for the first time, and since then I have never been able to sleep sober more than 4 hours. Also, I do frequently get ideas and intuitive gut feelings that are so strong they feel real. I've had these come since I was little and have made it a pattern to listen to these little feelings and try to create those ideas. These are little quirks about myself I've tried to bring into a positive, productive spin into. But after listening to these tapes and hearing these stories, I can see a valid theory where these tapes have helped me transurf time a bit. Because they always say time is just a dimension that we could actually navigate. Because strong gut feelings and ideas back then feel like solid truths now. And they weren't real back then, but they felt real, very real. And now I know they are real, right? So I like to imagine my future self found a way to keep me guided and alert spiritually. Or maybe they were family and loving spirits. And even my craziest ideas, I've always felt guided. The way things play out with God's plan is always beautiful. And I can see how spiritual and alchemic rituals can help someone tap into that infinite knowledge at the same time. I personally don't align super closely with a religion or kind of subsect of a church. Anything, I would consider myself kind of a Gnostic Christian. And with that, I believe that part of our journey and the meaning of life here on earth for each of us is to get as much knowledge as we can about ourselves and about the things we love and are passionate about. And I believe by simultaneously learning as much as we can about these things, our path in life starts to reveal itself and our dream life, right? Like, we all come into this world with talents and specialties. In education, they call it different modes of intelligence, different forms of intelligence. And I believe we all have our personal talents. And by learning ourselves and by learning about the things that we're passionate about, we can find alignment and find that middle ground to where we're achieving our own personal worldly goals. We're also doing something deeper on the spiritual level to where God or the universe or whatever you want to consider is happy with us and continuing to bless us with knowledge and worldly gifts and just spiritual reassurance. Because, when you're working a job that you do love, or just doing something, anything, volunteer work, family time, that on a soulful level it's nourishing, you could feel it. I think by pursuing knowledge and information about yourself and about the things you love, that happens naturally. You end up in a job that you really love and that does everything for you, or you end up with multiple jobs or jobs and passions, some kind of balance in life to where you feel completely fulfilled. That's my own personal take on everything here. So I don't think necessarily any of this is too spooky. I think it's kind of like hidden little life hacks. So that's kind of the theme of this whole video. So I hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to not talk so much, but I just wanted to add my own contribution to this topic because I think it's really interesting. And I think it's a great way to kind of bring together all the topics I talk about on this channel. So yeah, thanks. Let's go to the next story.
Hannah had unexplained anxiety and depression. Her higher self showed the reasons were not random and healed them. Paranormal. English, not my native. So I write simple. Sorry if something wrong. I do soul journey sessions where people go deep and meet higher self. And I see this pattern very often. Someone comes with anxiety, depression, feeling of never belonging. They have good life on paper, but inside is empty and scared. They not know why. What I found is, the reasons are not always from this life. I had session recently with woman. Let's call her Helen. She came because she felt anxious all the time, depressed, afraid of being alone. She felt she never belongs anywhere. When she went deep, she found herself as a little girl, but not in this life. She was in a past life, maybe 200 years ago. Her name was Malela. She was around 5 years old, barefoot in green grass, wearing a green skirt, carrying a leather bag with pebbles. She was lost in a forest near her village. The forest had wolves. She was scared. She had run away from home because she was upset. As the session unfolded, we saw her whole life. At 23, she married a good man, but she did not love him. She went through with it because it was tradition. At 35, her mother died. The man left her later. She raised children alone. At 93, she died poor and skinny. In the afterlife, her husband appeared and said he loved her. He forgave her. He told her she was okay as she was. The guilt she carried was not about leaving him. It was about marrying him without real love. He wanted her to know she was forgiven. Her mother came too. Malela told her mother she loved her, something she never said in life. So what does this have to do with anxiety and depression now? Higher Self explained that Helen carries the memory of all those separations, leaving the village as a child, losing father early, marriage without love, mother dying, husband leaving, dying alone. Each separation created a wound in her energy system. When she came into this life, those wounds made her afraid. Afraid to be alone. Afraid to trust. Afraid to belong. Because every time she belonged in that past life, she lost it. The depression was linked to stopping the things she loves. In the past life, she stopped doing what made her alive. In this life, she stopped surfing, stopped being outside, stopped connecting with nature. Same pattern repeating. The hip pain she had, it was not the hip. Higher Self said it was a broken heart wound from the past life manifesting as this pain. Healing was not instant. Higher Self used white light to reprogram the anxiety. Golden light for the hip and heart. But the main instruction was simple. Return to what restores the heart. Nature, water, warmth. Doing what she loves. Letting people in slowly. The lesson here is, if you feel anxious or depressed and you not know why, maybe the reason is not from today. Maybe it is from another life or your childhood events you forgot. The feeling of never belonging, the fear of being alone, the sadness that has no cause in this life, it can be a memory your body carries from somewhere else. The healing is not to fight the feeling, is to feel it and understand where it comes from, and then to show your body that now is different. Now you are safe. Now you can trust. If this resonates, try this simple exercise. Sit somewhere quiet. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Imagine you are standing in a misty forest, like Malela did. You feel lost and scared. But now you are not a child. You are adult, and you have light in your hands. Look down at your heart. See if there is a cord or chain attached to it. Something old, maybe from another time. Do not pull it. Just place your hand over it. Say out loud or inside, I see you. I'm not there anymore. I'm here now, and I'm safe. Then imagine golden light coming from the sky into your heart. Let it fill the old wound. Stay like this for 5 to 10 minutes. Do this every night before sleep for 2 weeks. The body needs time to learn that the old story is over. Hope it helps. Take care.
Thank you for both your post and suggestion on doing light work to help heal. I will try this. And I've had a couple more hints to get back out into nature and out of my grief.
What I've managed to catalog from potential past lives. Consciousness. For most of my life, I've had occasional flickers of memories that I've come to believe are remnants of past life experiences. Some have been particularly vivid. Some have been sensations or feelings of déjà vu. All of them are from a first-person perspective and involve distinct feelings, events, and sensations. In the last 10 years or so, I've started cataloging them when they occur in an attempt to map out theoretical lives and retrace them historically. A couple of these have occurred during actual past life regression meditation attempts, but they most commonly appear in dreams, or just out of the blue. Here is what I've recorded. Sometime in prehistory. Unknown, snowy location. I have a memory of washing something in a wooden bowl with cold water. I think they're berries or some other plant. My hands are very small and childlike. I'm wearing fur. It's ungodly cold, and I can feel my fingers going numb in the water while I work, and the tips are bright red. The sun is just coming up, and I can see it glinting off of the snow. Unknown time, likely Bronze Age, ancient Greece, possibly Crete. I'm walking down a flight of stairs on a sunny afternoon in what looks like a building on the island of Crete. I remember big, red pillars, which leads me to think that. I was a young woman. I felt very sick and lightheaded. I remember falling, and I can't remember if I survived the fall or what happened after. Sometime in the 17th to 18th century, aboard a ship, I was a young white man with long brown hair. I was on a ship during a horrible storm, and everyone on board was panicking and moving about the deck. It looked to be some kind of shipping or fishing vessel. A large rope got tangled around my legs and pulled me overboard, and I drowned. Sometime in the 18th to 20th century, wilderness. I was an older white man with a long beard. I was laying down in a cabin that I assume was my home. The sun was setting, and I could see autumn leaves all around. My home was on top of a hill. I was in bed covered in furs, but I was freezing. I couldn't move, and my body hurt so bad. The door to the cabin was wide open. I tried to scream, but I couldn't make any sound. The memory stopped there. 1901. Namibia and Brazil. I have a specific date and location for this memory because it came during a past life meditation. In it, I was a tall, thin, African man. Once again, I was sailing on the ocean. This memory was one of the first where I felt a real emotional connection. I remembered the captain of the ship. He was a small Portuguese man, curly hair, and a short beard. I remember thinking he was very funny and really loving working for him. I remember him being very kind to me. The meditation ended with he and I talking below deck. I remember feeling faint and him looking at me with a concerned expression. World War II. Somewhere in Europe. The only memory I've logged about a specific war or combat situation. I was a young man from America. Very handsome. It was winter, and snow was blowing outside. I was hiding in an abandoned building at night, and German soldiers were looking for me. I hid from them, but could hear them coming close. I remember hyping myself up that I was going to be a hero. I jumped out and pulled the trigger, and my gun jammed. I was shot immediately and fell to the ground. Last thing I recalled was hearing someone ask, "Is he dead?" in German. 1960s, 70s. United States. I was in a band. I don't recall what kind of music, but I remember being very close with our bass player. He was a young white guy with a scraggly teenage boy mustache and a light brown afro. In the memory, we were in a store, and he collapsed. I remember helping another band member try to carry him out to the street and yelling for a doctor. Late 20th century, somewhere in Southeast Asia. I was laying in what looked like a hospital bed surrounded by plastic sheets. I think I was a child. The place I was in looked like a makeshift hospital in some kind of gymnasium. I felt very ill. There was a middle-aged man wearing glasses and a white collared shirt. I think he was my dad. He was talking to another man in some kind of emergency response gear, high-vis vest. I couldn't piece together what they were saying. I fell back asleep, and the memory ended. That's all I've been able to recall so far. It's been a while since I've ran into another one of these, but I'm 30 years old right now, and I intend to keep writing them down whenever they happen. I don't know if any of this means anything or what, but I do find the topic of past lives very interesting and figured I would share.
Fascinating. There must be a cell memory part of your brain that enables you to retain these glimpses of the past. I only have one recurring, very realistic dream that feels like a past life. I'm a housekeeper nanny in a large country home. I call it my other house. I seem to be limited to a large side staircase going up to numerous children's bedrooms, then a narrow staircase going on up to servants' quarters. I can describe all those rooms, the gardens and exterior of the house, but nothing of the kitchens or any other living sleeping area.
What if enlightenment is literally a state of resonance? Our enlightenment. What if enlightenment is literally a state of resonance? What if enlightenment was not something you achieve, but something your nervous system remembers through resonance? For the last several years, I've been obsessively researching an idea that sits at the intersection of ancient musicology, Vedic philosophy, Gregorian chant traditions, numerology, cymatics, bioacoustics, and consciousness itself. The possibility that specific sound frequencies can retune the human organism back into coherence. Not metaphorically, literally. This journey began for me after reading Healing Codes for the Biological Apocalypse by Dr. Leonard Horowitz and Dr. Joseph Puleo, a controversial but deeply fascinating work proposing that the original solfeggio frequencies were not merely musical notes, but vibrational codes embedded into reality itself. According to their interpretation, these frequencies were hidden for centuries because of their potential to catalyze biological healing and spiritual awakening. At first, I dismissed it. Then I started experimenting with the tones myself, and something strange happened. Not magic, not hallucinations. A kind of internal reorganization, almost as if the nervous system begins entering a forgotten geometry. The deeper I researched, the more I discovered that this idea appears across civilizations separated by thousands of years. In Vedic philosophy, there exists the concept of Nada Brahma, Nad Brim. The universe is sound. Reality itself is understood not as solid matter, but as vibration condensed into form. Consciousness pulsating into existence. The primordial sound Om being the first movement of creation. According to these traditions, every structure in existence possesses a natural resonance. Stars, cells, organs, thoughts, DNA, even states of consciousness. Disease is interpreted as dissonance. Healing is resonance restored. And suddenly, the solfeggio frequencies started making terrifyingly beautiful sense to me. 396. Liberation from fear and guilt. 417 has breaking destructive emotional loops. 528H, the so-called miracle tone, associated with transformation and DNA repair. 639, harmony, relationships, synchronization between brain hemispheres. 741, the intuition and purification. 852 hands, awakening perception beyond illusion. 963 edges, return to unity consciousness. I became especially fascinated with the 528 Hz frequency, not because of internet spirituality, but because the mathematics surrounding these tones repeatedly converged into Tesla's famous 3 to 6 minus 9 pattern. Horowitz connects these frequencies to the numerological structure hidden in the biblical Book of Numbers, where repetitive mathematical sequences allegedly reveal these exact vibrational codes. Whether one interprets this literally, symbolically, psychologically, or spiritually, almost becomes irrelevant after prolonged listening, because eventually the body responds. And this led me into a much deeper experiment. What happens when solfeggio frequencies are engineered specifically for bilateral brain impact? Instead of static tones, I designed immersive audio fields using deep left to right panning movement across headphones, causing the frequencies to travel continuously between hemispheres. The effect becomes less like listening to music and more like entering a moving, energetic architecture, almost like the brain begins chasing coherence. Some sessions became profoundly meditative, others emotionally destabilizing in a strangely cleansing way. Sometimes memories surfaced. Sometimes absolute silence appeared internally. What shocked me most was how subtle the process is. The strongest sessions happened at extremely low volume, barely audible, almost beneath conscious perception, which aligns with many ancient traditions suggesting that the deepest transformations occur below ordinary sensory attention. I also extended every frequency into uninterrupted immersion sessions here. That duration was intentional, long enough for the nervous system to stop analyzing and begin entraining. If anyone here is genuinely interested in consciousness exploration, meditation, nervous system entrainment, sacred acoustics, or the possibility that enlightenment may involve resonance rather than belief, each one engineered as an extended bilateral audio field specifically for deep immersion through headphones. The files are downloadable individually through the web version. I'm genuinely curious what people in this community experience with them, especially anyone experienced with meditation, non-duality, samadhi states, breathwork, hemispheric synchronization, or prolonged silence practice. Maybe this is pseudoscience. Maybe symbolism. Maybe forgotten physics. Or maybe consciousness has always been musical in nature. Either way, these frequencies feel less like sounds and more like memories the body never fully forgot.
I am very interested in this. What do you think the result is?
This seems fascinating to me as well. Everything is made of energy measured in frequency, which I've always suspected is accessible and malleable through consciousness. The universe is a song, and the force is real.
Enlightenment's goal is already lay within you, domain and always active. As always, you have to experience things yourself enough to get it. Those vibration is just the result and mimics of that result from within you. How much and deep you can feel is how and what will become of you when you enlightenment.
Enlightenment is the touch of the supreme effulgence, which is your true nature, which causes you to awaken from the trance of states and, consequentially, their resonance. So, no, but I love music too. Music is melodic sound, also known as the dynamic quality of consciousness, in motion unto itself, creating universes. You know how they say that Om created the universe. Om is sound, voice, united with melody, prana. Edit. Oh, you actually wrote about it. You need sleep to project universes. If Brahman wakes up, his game over. Then, if he so chooses, he might let the whole thing run for a bit longer. Enlightenment is like 10,000 suns suddenly lit up from within. It dissolves the world.
Alright, you guys, that concludes episode 5 of Reddit Reads Ancient History. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know what other rabbit hole topics you'd like to see. I plan on creating a few more series about spirituality, space, and other interesting topics regarding alien life, history, and culture. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.